Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today was intense in court as the jury continued deliberating for a second day in Diddy's trial. They almost came to a verdict. It was close. I was on the edge of my seat. I was just like, I couldn't breathe. I was like, wait, I'm not even in this case. Why am I nervous? Why am I freaking out? It was crazy. Anywho, here's everything that happened today. At the end of the day yesterday, the jury had sent the judge a note asking for clarity on the charge about distributing drugs. So this morning, the judge responded by pointing them to a section in the jury instructions that explains what distribution means. It says that distribution doesn't have to involve a sale. It just means handing something over to someone else or causing it to be delivered. The word distribution means actual, constructive, or attempted transfer. To distribute simply means to deliver, to pass over, or to hand over something to another person, or to cause it to be delivered, passed on, or handed over to another. Distribution does not require a sale. The judge did not accept the extra suggestions that the defense or prosecutors wanted to add. Prosecutors wanted a simple yes as the answer, and Diddy's defense team wanted the jury to look at more parts of the instructions. The judge kept it neutral. So after a short court session this morning, both legal teams were dismissed for the day, but the jury stayed behind to keep deliberating. So before leaving the courtroom, Diddy leaned over and spoke quietly to his mom, Janice. I'm gonna be nice. I'm not gonna call her the who was sitting in the gallery. He told her, just relax, it's gonna be all right, and complimented her outfit. That really touched me. I was just like, oh my gosh, I know I'm not feeling like this for Diddy. Like if it was just so sad. It's so sad. Whew, okay. So Janice had on a green and cream zebra print. So Diddy left with the marshals to return to his cell. So later, the jury sent another note asking for transcripts from two witnesses. Diddy returned to the courtroom as they waited for updates. His mother and sister were back too, and Dana Train, the mother of his youngest child, who also present, sitting next to his mom Janice. So at 10:15 a.m., the jury sent a note asking to see several parts of the trial transcripts. They specifically asked for Cassie's testimony about what happened at the Intercontinental Hotel, her testimony about what took place in Canes and the events that followed, and any parts where Cassie talked about her freak-offs or interactions with Daniel Phillip, and Daniel Phillip's testimony about what happened at the Excess Hotel with Cassie. The legal teams reviewed the transcripts to find the exact sections that match what the jury wants. The jury also requested the full testimony from Daniel Phillip. Remember, Daniel Phillip is the male escort who said he was paid between $700 and $6,000 to have sex with Cassie multiple times. He claimed that on one occasion, Cassie asked him to urinate on her while Diddy watched. He also said Diddy filmed them having sex at least once, using a phone and a camcorder. Daniel Phillip testified that their first encounter was around 2012. He said he thought he was going to perform at a bachelorette party at a New York City hotel. But when he arrived, it was just Cassie and a man in a mask, whose voice he recognized as Diddy. He said Cassie gave him money to have sex with her. In another incident, Daniel Phillips said he saw Diddy yelling at Cassie and then dragging her by the hair into a bedroom. He testified that he heard Cassie screaming and saying, I'm sorry, over and over. And he also heard slapping sounds. Daniel Phillips said he did not report it because he feared for his life. You hear this? This big, goofy, scared for his life while seeing a woman getting beat and dragged. Freaking coward. So then, prosecutors and Diddy's defense team argued about which parts of Cassie's testimony should be sent to the jury about the Intercontinental Hotel incident. The judge gave both sides a deadline. They must send the selected transcript excerpts about that incident to the jury by 1 p.m. Eastern. The judge also ruled that the jury will receive Cassie's testimony about the days before and after the Intercontinental incident, as well as her comments on Instagram after the hotel surveillance video was made public, despite objections from the prosecutors. Then, prosecutor Emily Johnson said they can send over the other 3 requested testimony excerpts. So the jury sent another note to the judge. Diddy is now seated in the courtroom with his lawyers gathered around him, all looking serious. His defense attorney, Mark Agnifilo, walked over to the courtroom deputy, took the note, and then handed the note to Diddy. The note was short but big. The jury wrote, "We have reached a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, but are unable to reach a verdict on count 1. So, if you don't know, Diddy is facing 5 serious charges. 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, which is count 1. 2 counts of sex trafficking, which is counts 2 and 4. And 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, which is counts 3 and 5. The racketeering charge is the most serious one, and if found guilty, Diddy could face up to life in prison. So both prosecutors and Diddy's defense team asked the judge to push the jury to keep going. Diddy's lawyer said he preferred the judge speak to the jury in person rather than just send them another note. So again, count 1 is the one that carries the heaviest penalty, life in prison. Counts 2 and 4 carry a minimum of 15 years and a maximum of life. Counts 3 and 5 could mean up to 10 years each. The judge reviewed both sides' suggestions on how to move forward. Prosecutors asked for a modified Allen charge, which is when the judge reminds jurors of their duty to try and reach unanimous decision. Diddy's legal team said it's too early for something that forceful. They wanted a lighter message. The judge did not go with either side's full proposal. He said the defense suggestion lacked substance. There's not much there. And he said just telling the jury to keep deliberating was not enough, given their strong disagreements on count 1. Mark Agnifilo said, "I think this jury has been productive and efficient," and argued they didn't need much pressure. The judge said he would tell the jury, "I ask that you keep deliberating," and then read this part from the original jury instructions. So here it is. Again, your verdict must be unanimous, but you are not bound to surrender your honest convictions concerning the effect or weight of the evidence for the mere purpose of returning a verdict or solely because of the opinion of other jurors. Each of you must make your own decision about the proper outcome of this case based on your consideration of the evidence and your discussions with your fellow jurors. No juror should surrender his or her conscientious beliefs for the purpose of returning a unanimous verdict. It is your duty as jurors to consult with one another and to deliberate with a view to reaching an agreement. Each of you must decide the case for himself or herself, but you should do so only after a consideration of the case with your fellow jurors, and you should not hesitate to change an opinion when convinced that it is erroneous. Discuss and weigh your respective opinions dispassionately without regard to sympathy, without regard to prejudice or favor for either party, and follow my instructions on the law. So, after giving those instructions, the judge told the jury to continue deliberating. He stayed seated on the bench, saying he expected another note in the next few minutes. Eventually, the jury sent one last message for the day. They have stopped deliberating for now and will continue tomorrow at 9 a.m. So I think the prosecutors were trying to give the jury a day off, like skip tomorrow and come back Thursday and give the verdict. But Mark Agnifilo said, okay, it didn't matter when, but let's not tell them they need to make a decision on Thursday because that would make them feel pressured. So they went back and forth for a little while, and then they decided that tomorrow is better. So tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, they will come back and deliberate on the last final count, which is the trafficking. So as court wrapped up, Diddy turned around and whispered to his children, who were seated in the second row. Before leaving, he leaned over to his mother, who asked him a few quiet questions. Diddy told her, I'll be all right, love you, and tapped his chest. Oh, wow. Why you had to be a monster, Diddy? Why? Look what he's putting his family through. My goodness. So, the reason the jury hasn't been able to agree on the racketeering charge, also known as RICO, is because it's the most complicated one. So, to convict Diddy on this charge, the jury has to believe there was an ongoing criminal organization and that Diddy agreed with at least one other person to commit two or more crimes. According to the verdict sheet, the jury must find that Diddy and a co-conspirator committed two specific crimes called predicate acts within a 10-year period. This could include acts involving kidnapping, acts involving arson, acts involving bribery, acts involving witness tampering, acts involving forced labor, acts involving sex trafficking, acts transporting someone for prostitution, and acts involving drug distribution. So this charge is detailed and harder to prove. So it makes sense that it's the one the jury is struggling with. So yeah, there will definitely be a verdict tomorrow. Once they make a decision on that RICO charge, it's a wrap. So check this out. When everyone was brought back into court after the jury said they had verdicts on 4 of the 5 charges, Diddy's lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, passed them a note. Diddy did not look happy. At one point, he even rested his head on his hand. So now I'm wondering, has Diddy been found guilty on all 4 charges so far? Or, listen. Is he just reacting that way to throw everyone off? Maybe he's trying to make it look bad today And then, boom, tomorrow, the RICO verdict is in his favor. I don't know. All I do know is I was so nervous when I heard they had reached 4 out of 5 verdicts. I was like, oh my gosh. Whew. I know I'm not the only one. So yeah, tomorrow is going to be wild, you guys. So be ready. So that is all, you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me see what else. Punch that notification bell so you don't miss any new updates. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.